How's it going? Thanks for tuning in for episode 3. If you got an alert for episode 2 and it wasn't there when you went there, I apologise. It did publish later on in the day. AM and PM were not entirely obvious to me on the YouTube scheduling page. And I've got a lot to learn, let's put it that way. So hopefully, those of you that have got notifications on are watching this at 7 PM on a Monday. Anyway, if you like the video and if you want to follow this journey a wee bit further down to the HT550, which I think is now 11 weeks out, please drop a like, subscribe, turn your notifications on. Okay, so at the end of the last video, I said I'd talk about my bike and my luggage today. So in order to keep this video 10 minutes or under, let's get into it. I have experimented with a lot of solutions just over the years, just going out on little trips and bigger trips. This year is the only time I've really thought so hard about it that it's just about broken my brain. Spent a wee bit of money and a wee bit of time and done a lot of research, and I've came out at the Tailfin brand for the ones I'm going to use on the trip and probably ongoing if it all works out. Tailfin are a British company. They started up as a startup just for this rack system, which is the Aeropack, or the Aero Rack I think it was at the time as well, and grown from there into basically a 100% technical bike packing equipment company, as they would say. There's a lot of love and a lot of hate for it. People would say it's the iPhone or the Apple of bike packing equipment, which means it might be over-engineered, it might be modular from the point of view you can't use it with anything else, all that kind of jazz, and I think probably a lot of that is true. And like everything you buy from Apple or everything for your iPhone, it's not cheap. I'm not going to say it's expensive because it's in the eye of the beholder, but it is not cheap objectively. The first thing I bought was the Aeropack and the Aero Rack. The second thing I bought was the handlebar bag. The last thing was the top tube bag, and in the interim I played with the rack packs and cargo stuff and got them as well. So really here we've got something going towards a full solution for taking all my stuff in the first place without the frame bag that I've been going on about from AlpKit on my Instagram page. Choosing instead to stick some bottles in there and maybe put a little frame pack in here. So a bit about the luggage that I'm choosing to go with. The Aeropack is a modular system that takes a special quick release. So it clips on via these little adapters on Tailfin's own boost axle. So I had to buy a special axle that replaces the 12x148 through axle on my Sirius. And these little jaws go over them, they lock in place, and that's it. You attach it to the seat post by what is quite a cool and well-made quick release system. And you have a choice of a long or a short arm depending on your dropper configuration and your frame size. And the whole frame bag has a aluminium spine through it, so you need to take the whole thing off to take the bag off. That's the downside. But actually when you take it off, you can carry it around like a shopping bag. It's really cool. The cargo cages bolt on to the aluminium or carbon arch. The bolt spacings are also the same spacings as water bottles. So if you don't have cargo cages or if you don't have cargo packs and you just want to put any third-party one on there, you can do that. I have been running around with water bottles and cargo cages in them, and they're just fine, they're great. So with the cargo cages, you don't obviously have to use Tailfin's cargo bags. I've got them because they all fit together modularly, and it's just a great system. So they slide in and out with these little guides, or you can wrap them all the way around the cages, and you can use these volley style straps to do them up if you want to do that as well. There's a few belt and braces ways to stop these bouncing out and to stop them moving, all very well done. You've got this little step at the bottom of the cargo cage, which is optional. You can put that on or take that off if you like as well, and that really handily doubles up as a bottle opener as well. The packs are really, really well made. I mean, they seem indestructible, to be honest. 3 folds makes them 100% waterproof, according to Tailfin, and they've got a little air valve at the bottom to make packing them just that little bit easier. So that rear system altogether, if I want to take that off, it's 3 points of contact, takes about 20 seconds, I lift it up and I can carry it away like a shopping bag. It's really, really cool. So that's the back end. Let's go to the front now. If you want to talk about over-engineering, if there's a product that Tailfin do that could be described as over-engineered, it's definitely the handlebar roll. It has a full aluminium cradle inside the handlebar roll with a quick release system that's permanently bolted to your bars. Now that sounds complicated. When you see it working, it's very, very elegant, but to circle around, that doesn't take the complexity away from it. Now it is a simple system where you push a cam down and it locks everything in. There's a couple of dainty looking springs in there, but they're well hidden, and actually the system doesn't rely on them. They're just there to stop it rattling when it's loose. So if those springs went missing, your system would still work. That aluminium cradle also doubles up as a component riser. So you can put your Garmin or your action camera and your lights all on top of there and raise them above the handlebar roll, which is really cool. It's got 2 axis of adjustment as well, so you can put your bar roll right out in front or right down low. It totally misses all the cables. There's no frame rub and minimum movement when you're hammering down the roughest of trails, to be honest. I did lose a chewy bar out the front, but that was more my packing than it was the actual system, I think. So lastly, we've got the top tube bag, or the long top tube bag, as they call it. Yeah, I mean, it was a bit of a no-brainer. I read a lot of reviews on this because I have no bolts on my top tube to bolt on what is now becoming the standard for top tube bags. So buying this one was really the only option for me. The stability, the way it's strapped on, and the fact that you can pull the zip with one hand, which is always a deal breaker for me with outdoor kit. If you have to take 2 hands off the handlebars to do anything on luggage, it starts getting a bit dangerous and starts getting a bit annoying. So that was a real selling point for me. It's got composite walls in it that keep it rigid, so there's no flopping around, so you can literally just pull it up and down with either 2 of the zips. I have a very thin, round top tube with no bolt holes. I've had this packed in. I put 1 kilo of weight on this just to test it, and it hasn't moved, just general trail riding without all the rest of the luggage on. Really, really impressive. So that's probably enough about that right now. I'll get into the nuance of this when I start testing it for myself. I'll be going out on an overnight in a couple of days, and that'll be coming up in an episode later. So I'll go into it a little bit further as time goes on. So to bring this to a close, I want to talk a little bit about my bike. Firstly, because it's amazing, and secondly, because a lot of people had never actually heard of it. People have heard of Kotick and Stanton and things like that. Well, Pipedream is a very similar brand in that it only works in steel. They do have a titanium special edition Moxie and a titanium special edition Sirius S5 as well, but primarily the bulk of their stuff is steel. The Sirius has turned into from this cross-country orientated, low-stack, 120mm optimised, sort of variable wheelbase down-country, cross-country bike into an absolute trail ripper. It's a 65-degree head angle and a 77-degree seat angle, which would make most bike packers balk. But to be honest, the bikepacking community have embraced this bike, and bikepacking.com I think gave the Titanium Verse one of their bikes of the year or gear of the year awards. So they're worth checking out. But like I say, 77 degree, 65 degrees is quite slack. Not lots of space for bags, but lots of space for versatility. I don't think this looks out of place on the trail or on a bikepacking trail. What I actually like about it is the reach. It's 485, so it's quite long, again, for a bikepacking bike, but really optimal for smashing trails. It leaves plenty of space for this top tube bag, plenty of space for messing around with the cockpit as well, bringing it up, bringing it down, and a lot of stem experimentation as well. When you put bar bags on, fork bags on, leverage and flip-flop increases and decreases and stuff like that. So the reach actually just gives space to keep the length in the bike and then tune the steering control when you're less bothered about technical trails and more bothered about comfort. I love this bike, and I think I said in the last episode, if I lost this bike, I would buy another one the next day. It's absolutely brilliant, and I recommend you look into them for something that's competitively priced, really, really versatile, and probably the last bike of that type that you would ever buy. I think it would just last forever. Okay, to close, once again, thanks for tuning in. I appreciate your support. A couple of bits of feedback from the last instalment was the audio quality kept ducking. I had pitched up next to a stream and I had my noise cancellation on, but it just didn't do it. So I had to muck around with it in post. So hopefully this is clearer. The second thing is, you'll notice I've slowed my rate of speech down. Some people said they couldn't understand me. I don't know what you're talking about, but I'll make an effort to put a lid on that. But I am who I am. Yeah, so I've got an idea of what I'm going to do for the next instalment, but I'll just keep it under wraps just now because I don't know if I'm going to get time to do it. But what I do want to talk about in the upcoming weeks is the tools I'll be taking with me, the type of clothing I'll be taking with me, the sleeping arrangements, tent, bivvy, hooked bivvy, how I'm going to do that, and what I'm going to do about eating and potentially stove or no stove, because that is actually a bigger debate than you might imagine. So that's a brief rundown of my stuff. As the weeks go on, I'll be going out and doing testing and activities, and I'll turn this from a sit-down sort of talking thing, more into a vlog. I want to say something really quickly about this Tailfin stuff. Don't put your trust in me and go out and buy this. I'm being very careful in these videos not to review anything because I haven't used any of this stuff yet. This is quite a big project in my life to do this route right now, so I'm putting my trust in them based on what they claim and in other people's reviews as well. I'll tell you what I think of this stuff properly when I get back, so don't rush out and buy this stuff because I'm using it. I just want to say that. I think it's important to say that I'm not advocating for this because it's pricey and it's fairly specific. There are other things out there that you can use to make bikepacking more accessible. I'm just choosing this. So yeah, I just thought it was important to say that. So yeah, stick a rucksack on, go bikepacking.